We're reading Wren. Today is chapter 3, The Promise. Marie and Denise and Karen slept in the same room. Marie slept in a medium-sized bed that was green and yellow. Denise slept sitting up in the little maple rocker, and Karen slept in a little yellow crib. In the morning, Karen would wake them by making sweet cooing noises. Marie would jump out of bed and run across to the crib. Karen always gurgled when she saw her. "She's telling me she loves me," Marie would say proudly to Denise. Sometimes Marie would forget about Denise for a whole day. It was so much fun taking care of Karen. She held her baby sister and gave her the bottle. She was careful to keep the nipple full of milk so Karen would not suck in any air. That would give her a tummy ache. She changed diapers and helped Mommy with Karen's bath. Marie would test the temperature of the water by putting her elbow in it. If it didn't feel cold or burning hot, then it was just right. Marie would splash water over Karen, who would make funny faces, and then Marie and her mother would have to laugh, and of course Karen laughed too. They all decided that Karen was the laughingest baby they had ever seen. Pretty soon it was Mommy's birthday. Daddy gave her a shiny pin, and Marie gave her a wooden pen holder that she had made. She painted it very nicely, and Mommy was delighted with it. She kissed Marie and said, "Thank you, Princess." But Marie thought her mother didn't seem as happy as people should be on their birthdays. She looked questioningly at Daddy. He didn't seem happy either. Marie walked slowly down the hill to Kathy's house. Kathy's mommy, Mrs. Rudy, was giving John a bath. He was about the same age as Karen, but ever so much bigger and stronger. Marie watched him in his bathtub. He was having a fine time. He kicked his feet and slapped the water with his hands. He grabbed the soap and washcloth and he threw them out of the tub, and he pulled the towel off the rack and threw it in the tub. There were big puddles on the floor. Mrs. Rudy scolded John, but Marie could tell she didn't really mind. John just sat and looked at his mother and pursed his lips and went brrrsh. A most impolite sound it was. "Can he whistle?" Marie asked Mrs. Rudy. "Goodness, no, not at this age," Mrs. Rudy answered. "Karen can," said Marie proudly. "I can't believe it," said Mrs. Rudy, and she looked as if she didn't. The next day, when Marie and her mother were giving Karen her bath, Marie said, "You're not singing today, Mommy, and you didn't even whistle yesterday." "Didn't I, dear?" Mommy asked and looked sad. Marie felt sad too. She didn't want her mother to be unhappy. Something was very wrong. Karen was lying on her mother's arm, and Marie was washing her feet. Marie stopped washing and stood looking at the two little feet. Then she looked at Karen's hands. They were very still. They hardly moved at all. She thought, "Karen never sits up like John." "Mommy, why doesn't Karen kick and splash?" she asked. "Why doesn't she grab things, and why doesn't she sit up? I want her to." "So do I," her mother replied softly, and her voice sounded almost as though she were going to cry. "Why won't she?" Marie asked again. Her mother turned her face away. "But why?" Marie repeated. "As soon as we get her to bed, I'll tell you," Mommy said in the same strange, tight voice. Something was wrong. Marie knew it. She had a bad feeling in her stomach, like when she was hungry and had to wait a long time for dinner. She sat on the lawn and ate a piece of sour grass. It didn't taste tangy and sharp the way it usually did. She remembered that Daddy had been looking sad too. She wished Mommy would hurry and talk to her so this bad feeling in her stomach would go away. Marie was afraid. Her mother came out and sat down beside her. She put her arm around her and smiled. "Don't look so frightened, Princess," she said. "Now let's talk about Karen. Tell me why she doesn't sit up and grab her rattle and kick her feet and crawl like John." "I'll tell you," her mother spoke sweetly. "First, remember how good God was to send us a baby? Now, the reason Karen can't do these things is because God didn't make her arms and back and legs as strong as yours or John's or mine. And she's not able to do the things that we do. What we need now is a doctor who can tell us how to help her do those things. We will find one, I promise. It's a special kind of doctoring, and Dr. John is helping. We'll find one. Remember, I promise." Marie's bad feeling went away. She was sad because her darling sister couldn't do these things. But if Mommy promised to make everything come out all right, she wouldn't have that awful feeling anymore. Her mother never broke a promise. That evening, when Marie and Mommy and Daddy said their goodnight prayers together, as they always did, they added, "Please, God, help Karen use her hands and feet and sit up."